In today's video tutorial series, we're going to be looking at how to create pivot tables in Microsoft Excel. Now, pivot tables are used to help you drill down into data to help you better analyze it, especially when you've got large data sets to work with. In fact, today's data set that we're looking at has almost 53,000 records in it. So it's a huge data set and actually comes from the Kaggle website. And it's all about fatal road accidents in Australia between 1989 and 2021. Okay, so our job today is to drill down into this data to try and get a better look at it and see if we can come up with some trends and some stories within inside of it. Okay, so before we get started on actually drilling into the data, what I want you to do is just quickly save it as a different file type. From the Kaggle website, it comes in as a CSV file type. You'll get this little warning at the top, I would say, when you open it up in Excel. So just go to Save As, and you can choose to save it somewhere on your computer. I might just stick it in my documents, and we're going to save it as an XLSX file, so just an Excel file. Get rid of that CSV on the end. Click Save. Okay, now that is saved as an Excel spreadsheet now instead of a CSV file. Alright, now to help us work through this spreadsheet today, I've got a little worksheet here. I've actually got a few different activities, 4 different activities. So I'll do 4 different videos on this particular data set. And the first one here has us creating a pivot table. Okay, and once we've created the pivot table, we need to answer the questions down here beneath it. Okay, so let's look at question 1 first of all. It says we need to create a pivot table that counts how many fatalities there were in each individual year in the spreadsheet. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is actually create a table out of this data. Okay, it's just sitting in there loosely at the moment, I guess you could say. What we need to do is go up into our Home tab here in the ribbon and go to Format as Table. And you can just choose any old color scheme here. I'm just going to go with this purpley pinky colored one and click on OK. It will automatically recognize where our data is. Okay, and make sure that box is checked that says My Table has headers, because you can see the headings across the top there. So click on OK, and that will convert your data into a table. Okay, now once you've got it into a table, this is where the magic can happen. We're going to go up to the Insert tab this time on our ribbon and choose Pivot Table. And again, the computer knows where our data is, so you don't need to touch anything here. We're just going to make a new pivot table in a new worksheet and click OK. Okay, this is what appears. It's basically just a new tab at the bottom of your page. And it's going to be up to us now to actually create this pivot table, which is going to allow us, as I said before, to drill down into that large data set. Okay, so what we're going to be doing first up today is getting some rows into our pivot table. Okay, if we look over here, we've got all the pivot table fields we can use. They were all the headings that went across the top of our table up here. Okay, so we can just narrow it down to specific headings if we want to focus on particular ones. So if we look at that first question again, we're looking at how many fatalities there were in each individual year. Okay, so let's go through these headings here and we'll see it year. If you press the little checkbox next to that, it brings it in down the bottom here, where we can drag these fields into any of these areas here. So if I go to filters, we could get year there. We put it into columns. We could put it into rows. We can put it into values. And what we're going to be doing with the year is we're going to be putting it into the rows. I want to see each year that this study took place from 89 through to 2021. And what we want to do is we want to count how many people died on Australian roads in each year that this study took place. Okay, now we don't have a specific field that lists just people that died. Okay, so what we could do is we could use something like the gender column. If we have a look here. Okay, it just tells if they're male or female, so we could count up all the males and females that died. We could count up all the road users that died. Okay, different types of road users. That'll give us a pretty accurate figure. I guess we could use a few different columns here, but the one I'm going to go with is just road user. Okay, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go with road user. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it down to values. Okay, and it says count of road users. Okay, so for each year this study took place, it's going to count how many road users were killed on Australian roads. Okay, and you can see them now all down here. So we've just gone through 53,000 rows of data there and narrowed it down to this. Okay, so that's a good start. That's the first question done. So I might just highlight that red to say we've done it. Second one here says we need to use data bars, which is a type of conditional formatting, to display the information in this table in a visual format. Well, that's pretty easy to do. All we need to do is simply highlight all of the numbers down here in the count of road users, go up to conditional formatting, and look at data bars. Now you've got different colors that you can use here. Doesn't matter which one you use. I'm just going to go with this ready gradient fill here. It's like putting a little bar chart over the top of the numbers there. Okay, so that's all a data bar is. Question 2 done. Easy as that. Just makes our data a little bit easier to read. Instead of going through the numbers one by one, we can straight away see that up the top here in 1989, they had the most deaths on Australian roads, and way down the bottom here in 2021, we had the least amount of deaths. Okay, quite easy to see with those data bars there. Next thing we're going to do is create a line chart to display this information from the pivot table. Okay, so to create a line chart, I'm going to guess here that we just need to highlight all the information inside the table. So just all the white section here. Go up to Insert, go to the line chart here, and just hover over it. Okay, and I might go the one with the little markers as well, and click on that. Now you can make that a bit bigger if you would like. I'm going to make it a fair bit bigger on mine so you can see it a bit better. Now you might want to change a few of the things here. It's like the heading doesn't really tell us much. Total doesn't really tell us what's the total of. So we're going to look at writing something like total number of fatalities per year on Australian roads. Make it specific. Okay, this little legend down the side here that says total, don't need it, delete it. Okay, and if you want, you can change the look of this by going up to design. Yeah, it's the design tab at the top, and you can go through all the different designs of the charts here and see if you can find one that you think looks good. I don't mind that one giving you figures there, but see what else there is. That's a nice one. You choose. I'm just going to go with this one here. Okay. So that's a nice looking chart, and that will give us number 3 done. That's line chart finished. Okay, number 4 says what trend is evident from looking at this line chart. Okay, so if we look at this line chart, we can see back in 1989 there were quite a few deaths, but as time goes on, that trend line there is starting to work its way down, which means over the years there are fewer and fewer fatalities on Australian roads. So you could write a sentence underneath there and just say something like what I just said. So as time has gone on, there have been fewer fatalities on Australian roads. Now if you want to look into that data a little bit more, by all means add another sentence or two. Okay, you can see up here we had like 2,800 deaths in 1989, and we're down to 843 now in 2021. Okay, that's like a third of the number that we had back in the late 80s there. So it's definitely improved. Either our roads or our road safety, whatever it is. Okay, but as time's gone on, there have definitely been fewer fatalities on Australian roads, and that's the trend we can see in the data. It's heading down, which is a good thing. Okay, now provide an explanation for the possible reasons behind this data trend. That's kind of what I was just talking about. So the reason this downward trend is occurring is because, now it's a bit of a guess here, but I would say is because of better road safety initiatives. It's probably better safety features in cars, and maybe better driver training, and whatever else you can think of, add it in there. Okay, I was giving you a few examples of some reasons why I think that downward trend is occurring in the number of fatalities on Australian roads over time. Okay, so that's number 5, and the last one for this video just says, on average, how many fatalities are there each year on Australian roads? When you get the number, you need to round it up to the nearest whole number. Okay, so we need to go back to our functions and formulas that we've been learning over the past few weeks. We might just put it down here. We'll just write average number of deaths per year And we'll use the equal sign and write the word average. Open up some brackets and simply highlight all the numbers in that count of road users there. And press enter. We get about 1601 there. We just got to get rid of the decimal points though, so remember to click in that cell and press this little right arrow with the zeros around it to remove the decimal place there. So on average, roughly, we have 1,601 deaths per year on Australian roads. Okay, that's just the average since 1989 to 2021. But as we know, that number is getting smaller and smaller each year, which is great to see. Anyway, that is our first pivot table activity done. So I'm going to stop the video here and I'm going to come back in the second video shortly and look at our second pivot table. Okay, I will see you soon.